Ciao! Welcome to my Booktube channel about books, reading and stuff.
Libri, letture e cose del genere.
Following on from the city tags for London, Paris, New York and Austin, Texas, I give you today the Rome tag, the Booktube Rome tag. Okay, first prompt. This is a Booktube tag, so it's about books. What was the last book you read set in Rome or in Italy? Or what's your favourite book set in Rome or Italy? The last book I read set in Italy was this, Plautus, and I read the Brothers Menachmus, which was the basis for Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors about these two twins who one gets mistaken for the other. Plautus was an ancient Roman poet who lived in the 3rd to the 2nd century BC. My favourite book set in Rome was Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley, the 1955 novel. I found Ripley an interesting anti-hero. He's a criminal, he's a murderer, but we're often rooting for him because of his personality. It's a fascinating book. Prompt number 2. Do you have a favourite book in translation? I read many books in translation. 2 years ago, my favourite book for the whole year was a book in translation. It was We the Drowned by Carsten Jensen, the Danish writer, and it was a book about the seaport of Marstal. It was a generational novel going from the 1840s to the Second World War, and it was about the men who went to sea and about the women left behind, and it was an amazing book. Prompt number 3. Have you read any of the writers of the Roman Empire? As I mentioned before, I read Plautus. At school, I studied Latin for 4 years, and we looked at Julius Caesar's Helvetian Wars, and we also looked at Virgil's Aeneid in Latin. I don't remember much about either. And yes, Plautus. Now, I read this earlier this year. This was very much outside my comfort zone because it's before 1800 and it's plays. He wrote plays. Prompt number 4. Have you read books in other languages? Languages other than English? I can read in French. My favourite book that I've read in French is L'Étranger by Albert Camus, the French writer born in Algeria. I'd like to be able to read Georgian. I have a lot of Georgian books, but I can only read them very slowly with the aid of Google Translate, and I haven't completed any yet. This is Dato Tureshvili, American Fairy Tales in Georgian. Prompt number 5. Do you have a favourite movie set in Rome? Many movies have been set in Rome. The Talented Mr. Ripley, part of that was in Rome. Spectre, the James Bond film. Angels and Demons, based on Dan Brown's book. La Dolce Vita, of course. I think my favourite would be the classic Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn, Gregory Peck, and a lot of other stars from the 1950s. Prompt number 6. Do you have a favourite Italian car? Italy is a mecca for petrol heads. I have a book about Ferrari on that shelf there. You can see it, Ferrari. And I have this book, Lamborghini, which I got in Florence, and it's in Italian. I don't read Italian. I just look at the pictures, some beautiful pictures of Italian cars. I have lots of little cars, Italian cars. Lamborghini Marzo. This was a prototype for the Lamborghini Espada. And the Lamborghini Miura, an amazing car. This was in the opening sequence of The Italian Job with Michael Caine in the late 60s, and it was a very influential film for me because it had the Lamborghini Miura and the little minis as well, and I've loved the Miura ever since. But I think my favourite Italian car would be the Maserati. This is the Maserati Bora, a supercar from the 1970s, and I just love its style. This is a Matchbox model. I've got lots of Matchbox models. Many of Shakespeare's plays were set in Italy, like Othello, Merchant of Venice, Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar. Do you have a favourite of his plays set in Italy? For me, it'd be Othello. I like the devilish character of Iago and his schemes to bring Othello down. We don't know a lot about William Shakespeare the person. I've just read Bill Bryson's book on Shakespeare. There's one idea that during the plague years in London, he took some time out and visited Italy, which is why so many of his books were set in Italy. Or there's another theory, one of the Sicilian professors thinks that Shakespeare was an Italian refugee, which is why he knows so much about Italy. Prompt number 8. Do you have a favourite Italian writer? I know MJ is reading The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. My favourite Italian writer would be Andrea Camilleri, who wrote a series of crime novels, mostly set in Sicily, with the Inspector Montalbano, finding out who did the murder. And they're very interesting. They're done at the Sicilian pace of life. There's a lot of eating in it. Speaking of eating, it'd be difficult to talk about Rome and Italy without mentioning food. Italian cuisine is number 1 in Europe. Do you have a favourite Italian dish? Or if you're not a gourmand, what is your favourite pizza topping? My favourite Italian dish is spaghetti bolognese, which is more of a British style Italian dish. I cook it on many occasions. It's one of the few dishes I can cook. My go-to recipes are either spaghetti bolognese or chili con carne, and I love pasta generally, and it's very easy to cook, very quick to cook, and it tastes great. Have you ever been to Rome, or do you wish to visit Rome? I was lucky enough to go to Rome in 2016 with my wife. It was an amazing city. It was one of 3 cities I wanted to see before I die. The other 2 being Istanbul and Jerusalem because of their cultural heritage and everything. And yes, Rome was fantastic. Now, what remains left is for me to tag some people. My first thought is to tag Tom, LA Books, because he is Italian, so he has far more knowledge about Italian literature than I do. Also tag Mark, Book Time with Elvis, he's in Europe. Brian at Bookish, he always has a lot of interesting information about various books. Sandy reads a lot, she's got a very upbeat personality, a great channel, and I wonder how many of the 1001 books are from Italy. Elizabeth at Bouquin Books, who knows a lot about books in translation. Jolene, Bookworm Adventure Girl, and Wholesome Bookworm, which is a new channel by an Armenian booktuber. If you like this tag, I did put out some other cities tags earlier. There's a London tag, a Paris tag, New York tag, and the Austin, Texas tag. And give me a like, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.